Hey everyone, welcome. Jen O'Sullivan here. It's week 3 for the 90-day wellness challenge, and I'm excited to get started because we have a fun week this week. And why I say fun is because I'm challenging you to get up and get moving. Now I know some of you guys have maybe a surgery or something that has kind of imposed on week 3 for you to not be able to move your legs, but possibly you can move your arms, right? So just consider when we think about movement, it's any type of movement. And so I'm going to share with you some examples of things that you might consider doing and what this challenge is all about. But I also want to kind of back up a minute and talk about last week. So last week's challenge was to drink a lot of water, right? Get a lot of water in your system. Try to flush your system a little bit better. One thing you may have noticed is the amount of visits to the bathroom. That is normal in the beginning. It should only have lasted for about 3 days if you kept consistent with your water intake. So I have a 1 liter bottle. So if you're ever wondering what 33.8 fluid ounces is, this is a Carlsbad water from here locally. 1 liter. So I need to drink 3 and then maybe like another partial one. I weigh 168 pounds, and this definitely would do, again, 1 liter per 50 pounds of body weight. 1 liter is about 33.8 ounces, so around, just figure, 35 ounces, something like that, 34 ounces, whatever you want to do the math on that. But that's a lot, right? The other way to calculate it would be half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you would do 75 ounces, right? That's kind of a good middle point. But what happens is when you drink more, and what I'm saying is, some of you guys are like, well, I drink a lot, but didn't realize you maybe weren't drinking enough. Some of you are drinking a gallon a day and you're fine. Some of you, you thought, well, I drank 2 liters and now I have to drink 3, right? That's, again, depending on how much you weigh. But here's the interesting kind of thing when it comes to water. When you're dehydrated, when you're even just slightly dehydrated, and I can usually tell because I'm a little thirsty, that means your body goes into a I'm going to save everything mode. Your metabolism doesn't work well, your energy levels are kind of lowered. It's like when your phone, right? It's powers down a little bit because it's almost at the end of its energy. So, the screen goes a little light, darker, everything sort of is conserving energy. So that's what your body does when you are dehydrated. And most people don't realize that they're not properly hydrated. So again, if you are, what happens for the first 2 to 3 days is it's just like Niagara Falls. You're in the bathroom all the time, constantly going to the bathroom, and it's a little frustrating because you're like every hour, like tons of pee is coming out. Because what was happening is your body is like, wait a minute, this isn't normal. This is too much. We're flooding ourselves. We have to open the gates, right? After about day 3, your body regulates. When your body regulates, guess what happens? You become more like a camel. You can hold quite a bit more, and you don't go as frequently. And everything starts to open up. And what I mean by open up is your metabolism opens up. You start realizing you're not as hungry as often. Things start working properly. So if you started last week, didn't quite do it all the way, or got really frustrated with the amount of times you were in the bathroom, I'm going to encourage you to start again. I want you to drink enough water to make sure that you're not thirsty, to make sure that you're getting the amount that you need for your body weight, and you are going to experience that rapid flush for the first 3 days, but then stick with it. And the phenomenal thing that happens on day 4 is just this beautiful homeostasis, really. Okay, so also week 1 was getting some sleep, better sleep, and I'm certain many of you guys have dropped the ball on that one. I know I have. I know, like last night I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning. It caused me to sleep in this morning because I don't use an alarm clock, so I slept in much later than I normally do, which caused me to be late on everything, right? So it's like that kind of outcome is not great for me. It sets my day into a kind of not perfect situation. So I'm going to repledge. I hope that you guys will repledge. If you want to repledge, put a repledge in the comments and just say, I repledge to get week 1 started again, to get week 2 started again, and now I'm excited to get week 3. Now, to add these 3 together is not too hard, okay? Because I'm not asking you to do a ton. It's just add an extra hour of sleep to your sleep regimen. Get some more water in, right? Those are 2 very doable things. It's not like life-changing. It's not like you're going to have to work at this, right? It's not that hard. So we're going to start over if some of you guys kind of dropped the ball. And then week 3, and this is a challenge for me. I even told my husband yesterday, I'm like, tomorrow starts week 3, which means I have to exercise like 5 times a week. And he sort of laughed at me because for the past 3 or 4 months, I haven't done much. You know, we go to Mammoth and you get a chairlift up to the downhill riding, right? So it's like, it really doesn't matter if you're in shape. You know, if you can ride, you're good. Let your body weight go downhill. If anything, I'm faster because I'm heavier. Okay, so what does this look like? Basically, studies have shown that if you get 150 minutes per week of good exercise in, then that's a good place to be. Now, 150 really is best divvied up in 5 30-minute sessions. So I could clearly get a 150-minute workout in once. That would be very easy for me to do on a mountain bike ride. But it's better for me to at least consider like either a 30-minute walk every once in a while or do a hike. You know, we have beautiful, our backyard, we have hikes, you know, I can like hike, and that's a really kind of intense workout for 45 minutes to an hour. But to consider at least 5 days this week, trying to get like 30 minutes of exercise in. So when I say no talk, so on the form, if you guys have started the challenge and you're in the vitalityedu.com/wellness course, you can see that week 3 challenge, right? You can download the form and you can actually print these out. It has a tracker on there. It adds from last week and the week before, so it'll have a 7-day tracker for your sleep, adding water and adding exercise, plus the red drink, plus we added another, which I'll get to in a minute. And that no talk, on that form it talks about no talk. And you know what this is, right? I can walk my dog and talk the whole time. If I ran my dog, I wouldn't be able to talk. If I'm doing a hike, I can talk on the downhill, but the moment we start climbing, it's pretty hard to talk. So think that through. When you're working out enough to where you're having to kind of struggle to get words out, that's where you want to get to in your exercise. That doesn't mean that you have to do a full 30 minutes at that level, but at least half of that exercise, 30 minutes, should be, you know, you're getting moving, but then at least for half of it, at least 15 minutes, you should have a no-talk experience, right? So what does that look like for walking and, you know, hanging out with your friends, or maybe you can't do anything that aggressive? Totally okay. Part of the thing here is getting yourself moving. So it's lymphatic system, circulatory system training. You want to move. So if I'm sitting at a desk all day, I want to get up every like 40 minutes, every 30 minutes really is better, and just move, right? If I can't move my legs, if I'm, you know, bed bound or something, you can do something with your arms where you're doing some stretches, where you're just kind of moving, right? Just getting some movement. Even this, right? Even if I did this, try that for like 15 minutes. It's a little awkward, but your heart rate will go up and you'll start feeling it. The other thing is you can do bed push-ups, which is simply just pushing yourself up a little bit from the back. You can also ask somebody if you are in a bed situation where you can try and get a bar over your top so you can do some pull-ups, right? So get creative, but do know that any kind of movement is good movement. So you just don't want to be sedentary. Okay, then I want you to try a layering method. And a layering method, we're going to do the wake-up call layering method right now. And so basically a layering method is different than a roll-on, right? And so in that extended learning section on the free tracker is going to talk to you about the art of layering and what it is comparatively to, say, a roller ball. And just know it is very different. And so if you haven't experienced layering, it's one of the most popular layering methods is the raindrop technique. And Gary and Mary both were very clear, and even Mary, last couple conventions, very clear to tell us, like, don't think you can throw all those oils into a roll-on and experience a raindrop. It's totally different. It's not even close to the same. So it's still good, like the oils are still good, but it's not going to be the same as a raindrop. So why layering works so well is because what's happening is, so in, let's say, the wake-up call, it's you do 30 to 60 seconds in between each. It's up to you, but I'm going to do Citrus Fresh first, then Frankincense, and then Pan Away. And this is going to help kind of like invigorate my mind. And all you do is take one drop. You can activate it. So this is where these videos come into play, where you can just do a couple, like 3 circles. Usually they say take 2 or 3 fingers and circles, little circles clockwise. And then what you can do is just hold it on the back of your neck. So if you activate the oils, you want to hold it on the back of your neck as opposed to rub it in. If you're lazy, like I can be sometimes, I just put a drop on and rub it in, right? So if you were gonna rub it in, then try to consider doing little circles, rubbing clockwise. Again, what that's doing is it's putting the molecular structure in a clockwise motion that is going to be the same structure, or at least the same movement as your DNA strands. Okay, next, after about 30 seconds, I'm going to put a drop of frankincense on. So just one drop. I think I'm at the end here. Come on, Frank. I can see you in there. Let's see if we can get a drop out. Come on. Here. When we're at the end, I tend to touch the orifice reducer and do all sorts of things, but just know, if you're ever at the end of an oil, you can take the cap to pull off the orifice reducer a little bit easier. I know that doesn't look super easy, but rather than me touching that orifice reducer, which again is kind of just messy. So there's that one drop. Go, Frank. All right, so I've got my one drop of frankincense. I'm gonna activate it, and then I'm gonna put it on the back of my neck. And again, the instructions for the wake-up call layering method do say to just do a 30-second rub between each, just for ease of use, but again, make sure you watch the videos, because I always like to show you a little bit different so that you know some different ways of using, right? So once that's gone in, and you can smell them between each, which is a really nice thing. I always like to put oils in my hair too. So like I've got frankincense and Citrus Fresh in my hand right now, which is like always good for your hair. And then we're gonna do one drop of Pan Away. So I've got my Pan Away drop. And again, I'm gonna activate those oils and then hold it on the back of my neck. So Pan Away is a little bit of a spicy oil, but the thing about Pan Away is because I just used a drop of Citrus Fresh and a drop of frankincense, the Pan Away won't be as spicy because I've just added 2 other drops of oils that aren't spicy. Does that make sense? It's a good idea to get in the habit of using carrier oil with your spicier oils. I'm pretty used to this one, so it's not a huge deal, but the carrier oil, if I were to take a drop of carrier oil, and I usually have some on my desk here, you can use carrier oil, you can also use lotion. So I'm just gonna grab my rose ointment here. So anything that has any sort of oil base in it, not essential oil, but regular oil, can act as a carrier. So rose ointment is a great carrier oil, and I'm just gonna rub that on. And what that's doing is it's not diluting it. This is an interesting thing to remember. I have 3 full drops of essential oil on my neck. They didn't go anywhere. By putting carrier oil, didn't dilute it. What it's doing is it's keeping it on me longer, right? So it's kind of, I say, casing it over. It's casing it in so that the essential oils aren't escaping out into the air. They're going into my body more effectively. If I were to, say, add a bunch of oils to this rose ointment or to a carrier oil, that's diluting it, right? Because then you're just using a portion of that as opposed to the full 3 drops that I just did for layering. So now what's happening is that Citrus Fresh went in and it has this beautiful ability like to just kind of lift your spirits. The smell was great, we know that. And there has been studies shown that Citrus oils tend to help us with our happy hormone. Frankincense is really amazing for our brain activity, and it just helps with just like memory and focus and all of that stuff to help kind of calm the brain but help us to move forward well. So a lot of people use it to meditate. And then Panaway, usually people use Panaway for sore muscles and things like that, but they fail to realize that the constituents within Panaway are excellent for clarity and for your mind and to kind of open you up, and the smell is just amazing. So I've given you 6 different layering techniques. There's many more layering techniques in the book, so you're going to want to make sure you get that. And I want to share with you something about this book, because this is what we're going through. This is the wellness book. We're gonna move over to one of the pages, so that each time I'm going to share with you kind of a little bit more in detail about something in this book that's going to help you understand why something we're talking about may not work. So we're talking about layering, and many of you may have tried other oils before, and they won't work the same. So if you are trying to say, all right, well, Jen just did this kind of wake-up call thing, and she used Citrus Fresh. I'm going to look up the ingredients in that. I'm going to pick, I had one gal, I used Deep Relief on a girl, and she goes, oh, interesting, the very first oil listed is this, and I think it was, I think it was like clove and peppermint. I'm not entirely sure the order of the ingredients on that one, but she said, I'm going to go ahead and get clove and peppermint and use that, and it'll work the same. And I was like, what? So basically, you're saying if you were going to make chocolate chip cookies and you looked at the recipe and saw that butter and flour are the 2 main ingredients, that's the only ingredients you're going to use, and it's going to be the same, right? I mean, that was the logic she was using. So we all know that that's not the case, and that when you use a synergy, you can't just kind of substitute it for something else. Okay, so let's say you said, all right, well, I'm going to use another brand, and I'm going to use just like a citrus, like lemon or something like that, or maybe I'll try and find their citrus blend. A lot of companies have a citrus blend. Okay, so you get that. Then you get their frankincense, which, by the way, most companies don't have a solid frankincense. It's either synthetic or it's like a blend of multiple species, which, again, won't work the same. And then you're going to get like something that's like Panaway. So you look at the ingredients and you say, okay, I'm going to try and find something with like wintergreen and clove and helichrysum and peppermint and see what we can find there, and just swap it out. Okay. The biggest problem with all of that and why it will not work is because most oils, about 99% of all essential oils in the United States market, are fractionally distilled. And think this through for a second. I'm a company, starting a new company. I want to kind of make sure that I stand out in the crowd. Okay, so this is so important. Look at gas companies, for instance. I mean, gas is gas, right? All comes from the same oil barrel, all comes, like, isn't it the same? I'm not entirely sure what they do, but each gas company has some sort of proprietary, our gas is better. Our gas will clean your engine more. Our gas will last longer. Our gas is really cheap. I mean, it's like, what in the world? Same with eggs, right? I don't know. These ones are grass-fed, aren't those? Okay, wait, these ones are cage-free. Okay, so maybe those aren't. Okay, these ones are organic. Every company, in order to stand out in the market, needs to be different in some way. If not, it would just be all the same. Okay. The sad reality in essential oil companies is they are all the same, meaning they get them mostly from the same farms, mostly from the same broker, and in order to make their oils different, they fractionally distill them afterwards or they rectify them afterward. So they'll get them into their lab and they take the oil itself, and like, honestly, company A doesn't want their lemon to smell exactly the same as company B, or their frankincense, or their peppermint, or whatever, right? Their lavender. They want their lavender to stand out in the crowd of lavenders. So what they do is they take away some molecules, that's fractional distillation, or they add molecules of a different species, very small amounts, many times undetectable by a gas chromatography mass spectrometry machine, right? So there's this whole science behind it of modifying the oils. Okay, so when an essential oil is modified, absolutely it will smell different. Absolutely it will help that company stand out in the crowd. I mean, that's how some companies get like margarita smelling oil, right? Like, what? Okay, so now you have a margarita mix like as an essential oil. It's just very odd. The thing is, they can fractionally distill and they can rectify by adding in molecules from another source, another plant, and possibly even a synthetic. So this page is dedicated to how to spot a fake, okay? So I encourage you to read this and help you understand just the reality of the oils industry. And the thing that is different about Young Living, which I love, is that we don't do any of that. And Gary was very clear about he didn't care if you liked the way it smelled. He cared if it worked. So you may be of the type of person that really, really wants it to smell beautiful. You really want it to smell sweet and lovely and more like your perfumes that you're used to. Then by all means, use the companies that you're using, right? I mean, honestly, that's just the way it is. If, however, though, you are wanting true botanicals and you're not concerned that like maybe the peppermint or the lavender smells a little earthy, you're not concerned that, you know, it's like, oh, I don't really like that smell as much because I want it to be sweeter, right? It won't be as sweet. It won't be as mild and pleasant. Some of them will be very pungent. Your husbands will not be happy. They'll be like, what is that? Just know you are using the full botanical. And that's what Young Living provides to its customers. We don't get into fractional distillation except in the case of ylang ylang because it's necessary to do it for that. Just know that that's the only oil. We don't get into rectification like all these other companies do because, again, you're going to batch smell differences. And that's good, right? Batch to batch, they'll smell a little different. Fractional distillation, they will smell very different from, like if let's say a company A is buying from broker C and company B is buying from broker C or farm C, same farm, same broker, whatever. Fractional distillation is going to cause these two companies with the same oil to smell extraordinarily different. Whereas rectification is going to help company A over here batch to batch make their blends and make their singles smell exactly the same so customers don't freak out. And customers freak out in our company because like batch to batch, you're going to smell some differences and it won't be pretty differences. It'll be like, oof, why does it smell like that now? And you automatically think rotten. It's the batch is different. We leave it the way God intended it. And that's what I love about our company is that we just don't modify anything. We don't create oils. We extract them from the plant that created them, right? God created the oils. We just put them in a bottle for you. So I encourage you to remember that, to read that in the wellness book. I encourage you to try layering because if you layer with another brand, it won't work the same at all. And there was a funny thing I tried. One of the things I actually try with every company I test, I think I've tested 27 to date now, is I take lavender, lemon, and peppermint. I know how our lavender, lemon, and peppermint works on me. I know exactly how it works every time consistently. If I take another brand, it doesn't work. Or it smells good, but it doesn't work the same at all. Like I don't get the actual therapeutic effects. Okay, there was one company that I purchased on Amazon because it came up as like the most popular. So I figured if anybody randomly is searching oils, what's going to be like the Amazon recommended most popular? I tried that company and it was a science experiment. Straight up, put equal parts of lavender, lemon, and peppermint, and it smelled putrid. And I'm talking so bad, and you think, well, why? It smelled so bad because it wasn't pure. It was synthetics. They were synthetic molecule oils. And when you mix synthetics with synthetics and you don't know what you're doing, right? I'm just randomly mixing 3 different synthetics together. It's like a science experiment gone bad. And just think that through. Like they say, don't combine ammonia and bleach, right? It will be toxic to you. And I remember like going, whoa, I can't even smell that. Like put the cap back on. It's so bad. So just know, just because a company says they're pure doesn't mean they're pure. That's greenwashing. Any company can say anything they want, by the way. It's very difficult for the FDA to track down anybody who's doing anything illegal. So companies just put on there like it's pure. You know, you see these dish soaps that say pure and clean and natural, and you look on the back and the ingredients are not pure and clean and natural, right? With Young Living, everything you get is what you get. It is exactly what it says on the label. So it's just an interesting thing that so many companies just try to kind of deceive the customer. So be aware of that. This week, I want you to move, get your circulatory system working, try some of those layering techniques, get that 7-day tracker going and add those things to it. Get back on track if you've kind of fallen off the wagon on week 1 and 2. So thanks so much for being here, and we will see you soon. All right, bye guys.